So, Apple's MacBook event just happened yesterday and they announced major changes to their MacBook lineup. Kicking things off with their new SoC, the M3 chip, and the M3 Pro and the M3 Max. And that's their first time announcing the whole family. Like, they used to announce the M1 in a separate, event, and the M2 in a separate event, and then the Max and the Pro on another event. But this is their first time that they actually announced the whole series all at once in one event. And this is also the first time that their event would be 30 minutes long. This is the shortest Apple event we've had in a long time. And the fact that the whole event, drones, A rolls, B rolls, everything was shot on an iPhone 15 Pro. Now that's impressive. The 13-inch old MacBook Pro with the touch bar was discontinued. Now we're not gonna have that anymore, which could be sad news for some people, for the people who actually like the touch bar. But honestly, it's not really that useful. And it was an old design. It was about like 7-year-old design, which is pretty insane. And now the base model would be the 14-inch MacBook Pro with quote-unquote new design. The chip inside is gonna be the M3, 8 GB of RAM, which for most people who are gonna use it for regular browsing, school. And what actually turned my head around is that the base model M3 MacBook Pro, right, the 14-inch, has 120 Hz high refresh rate display, which absolutely kicks it out of the water when it comes to value. And I thank Apple so much for doing that. It's really good to have high refresh rate in the base model Mac. What's not so great is the price tag. Now the starting price is $1,599, which is basically $1,600 for the base model MacBook Pro. And it's kind of a bummer, honestly, because most people who are gonna buy that are gonna be people who don't use their MacBooks as much. But I guess if you're that kind of person, you should be better off with the Air, which they also have raised the base price of the Air, the 15-inch MacBook Air. I mean, you gotta get like the base model of the MacBook Air in order for you to get a good computer. And they announced a new color for the M1 Pro and M1 Max chips. It's the matte, what is it? They call it space black, which is basically matte black, right? And it looks super amazing. They claim that it has some form of coating to keep the fingerprints away from it, but we gotta see that when we get our hands on that computer. But the interesting part is that they kept comparing with their fancy graphs the M3 chip to the M1 chip. It gives me that vibe and the idea that, oh, so the difference between the M2 and the M3 is not that big. And when they actually showed it, it was like 15% CPU and GPU performance from the M2. So the yearly upgrades are not as big. They kind of remind me of their iPhone lineup. So the A13 is a little bit stronger than the A12, but the A14 is the strongest Apple chip that we have ever had, which is stronger than the A13. And if you have a 2-year-old MacBook, there's absolutely no reason for you to upgrade. And if you have like an Intel Mac, then yeah, you're gonna have a huge difference in performance and you're gonna have almost a whole new experience. And that was it for the event. It was 30 minutes, the shortest Apple event we've ever had. I had like an overhype thing for the event, right? Because they kept hyping it and it was spooky and on the Halloween night and everything. But we didn't have much changes, like huge changes, and you kind of don't expect that in that event. But that was it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.